women, wives, mothers, all daughters of Christ. Join me in this special series of the Feeding Solutions podcast called Table Talk, where we bring to the table all things that the Lord calls of us as His daughters, because it is enough to be known by Him. Join us as we feed each other and grow closer to the Lord. We've all had our dose of feeling like a complete flop and a failure. Y'all have any good advice?
Too many
Y'all
doses.
have any advice for listeners who might be struggling with that right now? That might be worrying and stewing, feeling like they're just... Well, I can tell you that was one of the reasons why just starting the podcast and then kind of launching into this direction with you girls, because it's critical to me that moms know that they are surrounded by people that love them and that they can lean on when they feel like they have no idea if they need to go north, south, east, or west. When all the junk around them, they're reading 1,000 books that are telling them to do this or that, and everyone is putting doubt into their minds that they don't know what they're doing. I mean, I see it every day, and I felt it, and I continue to feel it as a mom. And it's debilitating when you feel like you're doing it on your own. And so
I think the biggest thing is surrounding yourself with people who are also rooted in Jesus. And I don't say that lightly. Like, if you don't have a friend that is so solid, then you need to find one immediately. And that would be my prayer right now is, Lord, help me find a friend that will point me to you. Because when it's a bad day, Victoria's getting the call. And she's going to have to talk me off of the ledge. But guess what? The next day, she's calling me. And I'm talking her off the ledge. So, like, how that works? Why can't we just... But that like, you have to have people, which again goes back to prayer. It all literally just goes back to prayer, because He will provide you the people, and it's probably not going to be the 14 books you read. It's probably not going to be the 13 pediatricians you saw, or the 2 lactation nurses that came into your room. It's probably not going to be them. And you're going to know, because you're so rooted. You're going to know, like, I don't feel like what she said was like, I didn't feel myself accept that. There must be someone else out there for me to, and then you're going to find a Pam or an Ashley, or, like, it's just, I'm telling you, when you stay rooted and surround yourself with the right people, it will just change. It's just going to change it. You just need encouragement, and also be that to other people too. Like, if you're struggling right now, your friend down the street is probably struggling too, but she feels like she doesn't have anyone. So, like, maybe ask.
I tell that to moms
How
all
are
the
you?
time.
Yeah.
Who we've gotten them on the other side. And I'm like, I know that was so painful and that felt like forever. I said, but I'm so excited that you can advocate for the next person who you see being where you were.
Yeah.
To help them feel like they don't have to go through what you went through.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes, we want to belong to that village. We want to have the village around us. But I did read somewhere that sometimes that means that you have to lay the first brick. And so sometimes that, just like you were saying, Ashley, just being that person for the next person that's struggling, we'd be surprised at what it looks like when we zoom out,
Yeah.
And I think too that something that's really important is to truly know that you are loved. So
Mhm.
like before we can love, before we can be loved to someone else, we have to know, like actually know it, that
Mm-hmm.
we are loved. And the Lord created us because he loves us. And that goes again back to scripture, is to know that you are loved. Again, our church is so rich in the
Mm-hmm.
sacraments and the gifts of grace that brings. And a lot of times we look to, it's easy to look to social media or even to look to friends to see,
Mm-hmm.
our worth or make us feel good. But really, it's knowing that you're loved by your creator and knowing that no matter what, he will love you again and again
Mm-hmm.
and again. And it's that identity of being a daughter of a king.
Mm-hmm.
I have three girls, so we do a lot of fairy tales. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing to really get into, that he is king of the universe and he created me and I am his beloved daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that I am a princess. That's how much I am loved and how much he delights in me. And so when I am reminded of that, then therefore I can pour that love out into my family, my friends, my community.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
And again, to know that, like to know, to be able to know that is not like, you hear that. Someone
mhm,
listening to this right now is thinking, someone has told me that a million times in my life, but how do I know it? How do I
Mhm.
attain the knowledge?
Mhm.
Attain
Mhm.
the knowledge of, like, I can read it, but how do I know it? How do I feel it? How do I know it? You have to, like, you got to know him. You got to know him.
it's relationship. And like if you had a question for somebody, like, okay, your husband, do you love me? You would ask him,
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
me, show me that you love me then.
Mhm.
So then the same in prayer, if you feel like, okay, I've heard it 1,000 times, yes,
Mhm.
I'm loved, but I don't feel it. Well, then maybe that's what the Lord is asking you to ask him. Maybe he
Yeah.
wants to know that you want to feel love.
Mhm.
Because I promise when you do truly ask, he will. He will answer. He
Oh,
will
100%.
again go back to that vision, that image of the child with the flower and him with the bouquet. You're asking, I want to know that I'm loved. And then just watch your world change. Just watch you start getting slapped in the face with all these beautiful images of how much you are loved.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be you doing more, grabbing
No.
harder, reaching
No.
taller. It doesn't have to be like on your doing. It
Mhm.
can literally be you sitting in a place of receptivity. Like, I
Yes.
am nothing and I have nothing more to give you. I am a kid with no knowledge of how to love you. I need,
Yes.
and you just trust and surrender. And like Vicky said, just get ready.
Yeah.
That's
Whack,
the
whack,
that's
whack.
the other thing. That's the other thing that the Lord made women receptive. That's literally what, so, like, just use that as a superpower. I love that you said that. Like, sit in a posture yourself and your heart and
Mhm.
receive.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, that's how you make it through. What were we originally talking about?
Our worth, our worth when we feel,
Yeah.
Well, when we feel like we're failing and then
Yes.
I think that we beautifully went into what we so long, like our hearts long for
Mhm.
love, because no one on this earth can love us truly like we desire to be loved, except the Father in
Mm-hmm.
heaven. And so, you know, to feel that and to deeply know that love, especially when you're in like the low of a low, it's not, and I have to tell myself this, like, it's not me trying harder or doing something differently that maybe like I got it wrong yesterday and I'm not doing it the right way. It's not that. It's that I just need to be with him in, go to adoration, just sit
I
in
was about to say that.
sit in a quiet church and just let him just dump his love onto you and just trust. Like if that seems like very, very foreign to you, that,
Mm-hmm.
how do I do that? I'm in the thick of, babies, and just trust the process. And even if it's for 5 minutes, just
Yes.
dip your toe in the water and,
Two
And
things about that, what you're saying about trust
Mm.
are coming up for me. Number one is we talked about this at our lunch. There's a level of, and I'm gonna say this, and like if a theologian listens to this, they're gonna be like, not the right word, but just go with me here. There's a level of like blasphemy when we
mm,
don't trust how loved we are.
mhm.
Like, imagine telling Jesus on the cross, I don't believe you.
I don't feel it.
I'm not good. I'm not good. Why are you like how painful that must be for him for him that we don't believe that he loves us so much. And so like that's the first thing I would say is like fake it till you make it, literally.
Mhm.
Like just be like, I believe in Jesus name that I am beloved and loved and known and period. So okay, now I'm going to wash the dishes. Or like I understand if you have like so many babies, adoration probably sounds psychotic. I can't tell you how many times when my first three were little, I would just sit in a parking lot. We didn't have like perpetual adoration. Only one chapel had that around here. And I would just go sit in the parking lot. Like you said, like this is all I have. This is all I have. I don't know if this is going to work, but
Mhm.
like here, this is what I got. They're crying. I'm sitting in the parking lot and I know you're right there across that door. And
Love
the
that.
graces,
Fishes.
what?
The loaves and fishes.
The loaves and
Gave
fishes.
you what you had.
Hmm.
And then he takes it and he multiplies it. And I think that there's something to be said to maybe y'all can help me to like actually remember the words, but Lord, is it Lord, I believe, help my unbelief?
Oh,
Unbelief.
yes.
You know, like I am loved.
Yeah.
I am loved. Just keep saying it over and over and over again and ask him to fix the unbelief that you
Yeah.
with that phrase, you know? Um, but yeah, adoration is something that I was also about to say. And that it doesn't have to be long. You know,
Mhm.
he yearns for us, no matter if it's for 5 minutes or for hours at a time. All he wants is for us to want him back. You know,
Mhm.
we were created, the catechism tells us, to know, love, and serve him. So all he wants is our love in return. And whether, like you said, I mean, I never thought about like sitting in the parking lot at a church before. I think that's actually a beautiful,
I think it's brilliant.
yeah.
Well, it was like, you know how your babies like fall asleep in the car?
Yeah.
I would load them up, they would fall asleep, and I would literally sit and just sob in the parking lot. And I'm like, now that I'm saying this out loud, here we are, like about this would be probably 8 years later, and I'm like, those graces from
Mhm.
sitting in that parking lot are what is
Yeah.
getting me through today.
Yeah. But I mean, like how beautiful that is. And you know what that teaches also our children about the
Mhm.
true presence of Christ in the Eucharist is that
Yes.
enough that we're going to sit in this parking lot, even if it's for 5 minutes, knowing that he's,
Mhm.
you know, and I think that's something very practical that you could do. And I know a lot of moms with new babies struggle with babies to get them to sleep. And so I think that's a beautiful idea. You know, if your babies love the car seat, mine didn't.
Hmm.
So go for a ride, but stop and see Jesus too.
See Jesus.
Absolutely. Well, I think we just dosed our listeners, and y'all surely dosed me with like just such rich information to know that we're loved and what we can do if we're feeling that disbelief that we really
Mhm.
are loved. What's some other things that we can say that would help us to just really know that we are daughters of Christ and to know him and love that he's loving us with every fiber in him?
So this is something that I try to, it's not really um about him loving me, but I try to just throughout my day, you know, some days are harder than others and some moments are harder than others throughout the day. But when the priest lifts up the Eucharist in Mass during the consecration, he says the prayer, the doxology, and he says, through him, with him, and in him. And those three phrases to me sometimes just get me through the hardest moments of my day, and some of the most beautiful moments of my day. It's like, I want you to be with me always.
Hmm.
Him, with him, and in him, I will wash these dishes.
Mhm.
Through him, with him, and in him, I will feed this baby. You know, and when I do that, I'm just reminded of the gift that because I know that I am loved by him, I am able to love my family in a different way. Through different hands and eyes and ears and um you know, I have to change this diaper. I have to pick up this mess. But when we do it through him and with him and in him, it becomes a little bit more meaningful and a
Hmm.
little bit less daunting.
Mhm.
Uh, it kind of makes it obviously like like a prayer, you know.
Hmm.
Um,
Which I mean, it's
what?
meant to be a prayer. Our whole life is a prayer.
Absolutely, yes.
And something to say about the suffering too, just like of motherhood in general. Um, like nothing's gonna be easy. Some days I wake up and I'm like, just suck it up, let's go. But then other times I'm like, okay, this is really hard. Motherhood, wifehood, whatever. Like this is hard. I don't want to do this. This is not cool. This is not fun. But if he just took it away from me in that moment, it actually wouldn't be as fun
Mhm.
because there's some real beauty that happens when we just like hop up there on the cross with him or sit at the foot for a little bit, and just like that you cannot have joy without suffering. True joy. You can have happiness. You can have That's what you're going to get if you just wish away all your suffering, is just like fluffy happiness. But the true joy, like I can get through anything, you're not going to have that if you don't learn how to suffer well. And I think that's also a missing part for mothers, like in our society. We're taught, it shouldn't be this hard. You should be able to feed your baby, and it should happen like that. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have to, I don't even know. I don't know any others to, whatever. But society tells us that everything should be so easy. And
And
if you read an immediate, and if you read these 14 books, it will be so easy. Your baby's going to sleep all night. That is a lie. That's a lie. It's actually meant to be hard. And just because it is hard doesn't mean you're doing it wrong.
Mhm.
So, like, instead of wishing the hard away, like, embrace it a little bit, and like you said, use that prayer through him, with him, and in him. That's literally what's happening when that happens.
Exactly.
He's on the cross.
Right.
So
Right.
take that little cross of the day or the big one, and that is how you suffer well, and the fruit is joy and peace. And
And the peace comes from being in his will.
mhm,
Because the peace doesn't mean that there's no mess. The
right.
peace doesn't mean that it's easy. The peace it's that peace that surpasses understanding. It's
Mhm.
because you are acting and living in his will, because you know who you are, you know
Yep.
Yes.
that he's got you, and so you can do hard things.
And it's still gonna be messy, and I would even like to argue that it probably will get harder.
Absolutely.
It will get harder when you say, "Lord, I wanna, operate in your will, and I wanna learn how to suffer well." He's gonna be like,
Well,
"Okay."
Listen to the rest of our conversation in the next episode.